Hey guys, this is Kelly Stewart, and I am going to do a fairly short video, 10 minutes or less, maybe even 5 minutes, to correct a false narrative about the other night, what happened at the hospital, because there's a false narrative that's going on saying that the woman at the hospital refused to wear a mask to enter, and that's why she was being kept out. And this false narrative came from Legacy Salmon Creek as well as Clark County Sheriff's Department. So this is a demand for a retraction from every news article that has been reprinted with lies. I have 2 calls into Clark County Sheriff's Department. We will have a meeting with them. We will sit down with the victims that were involved in this and have a meeting. But for everybody who wants to say, well, the police report said, so therefore it must be true. I'm going to prove to you in under 10 minutes why we don't trust police reports and why it's very difficult to trust police, okay? We called for a civil standby. We called for a witness from Clark County Sheriff's Department 3 times, and we're told no, nobody would be responding. Then the police show up to Legacy Salmon Creek, and they're putting on their riot gear. Then they put out a false report that they were putting on riot gear because the crowd was heavily armed. We had gas masks, and they said that the woman who wanted to enter to be with her mother refused to wear a mask. Lies. All provable lies. There was not one gas mask present, and I'll tell you why this matters. Because anybody who joins their neighbor and associates under the title People's Rights is being demonized as a domestic terrorist. So these false narratives matter. They matter. I don't care if you wear a gas mask. Okay, I have no problem with people wearing gas masks. There wasn't one gas mask on Friday at Legacy Salmon Creek. I don't care if you open carry. There were no weapons seen at Legacy Salmon Creek. So your false narrative, Clark County Sheriff's Department, that the reason that you brought the force you brought was because we had gas masks, we were open carrying, and we were trying to force our way into the hospital before you came, is a lie. It is a flat out lie, and you need to retract your statements, or you need to provide the evidence that even one person there had a gas mask. Most of us were mothers with children standing out front. You want to know how damaging these false statements are? This is going viral nationwide. And you know what they're saying? Anti-mask group. Wait till we get the footage from Legacy that shows Satin entered the hospital twice Friday with a mask on when she was recording and was told she couldn't see her mom because her mom was now being quarantined with her mask on. So those of you who are out there spreading the Clark County Sheriff Department lies and Legacy's lies, you might want to check your evidence. You might want to ask for some footage. You might want to talk to some eyewitnesses who were there. See, Clark County Sheriff's Department showed up, and they said that they went up and talked to her mother after the patient's mother called us on camera and said, if they're not letting you come in, Satin, I want to go home. She didn't need to be at the hospital. We didn't go down there to get her discharged. We went down there to make sure that she could be checked on by her advocate. That is reasonable. That is not unreasonable. Okay? That's reasonable to go check on your loved one after the hospital has told you the night before, no COVID test, no quarantine. And they ask, can we keep her another night for fluids? And the daughter says, that's fine. If she needs fluids, I want her to stay for fluids. The daughter was not trying to act irresponsibly and take her mother out of the hospital until she came the next day with her mask on that was given to her by security at the door. She went in and they said, I'm sorry, we've tested your mom for COVID. This was all recorded, but you guys didn't see this part. They said, we tested your mom for COVID and you can't see her for 24 hours because of that. Satin stood in that waiting room on camera with a mask on and was denied entrance. Then she went outside to take a phone call. And do you know what she did when she went back in to continue talking? Do you want to know what she did? She put her mask back on. So every one of you saying that this had anything to do with a mask, this is the media demonizing, isolating, and destroying people. And the Clark County Sheriff's Department is participating. Because when the mother called out and said, if you can't come in and be with me, I want to go home. Then Clark County Sheriff's Department shows up in their riot gear. One officer goes up to talk to the mother without the advocate. This is a mother with a brain tumor who could stare off into space all day long and not know the difference because of her brain tumor. That's why she has full care. That's why she has 24-hour-a-day care. That's why her daughter bathes her and washes her and feeds her and takes her to the doctors and wears her mask when she goes to the doctors. Okay? An officer goes up without an advocate and speaks to the mother and says, "Do you want to leave?" The officer reports to us that she said if she needs to stay, that she would stay. First of all, she needed an advocate there. She should not be getting questioned by the police at 74 years old with a brain tumor, and she was scared to death without an advocate there explaining to her what is going on. So she's telling the officer she doesn't want, if she has to stay, that she'll stay. So the officer comes back down and tells us, well, she wants to stay. Well, why do you think she has a full-time care provider? She has no idea why you were even in her room. The last she knew, she told her daughter, if they won't let you come up, I want to go home. She didn't know the police were there. She had no idea what was going on when armed officers walked into her room. But trust the police, right? We're just supposed to trust the police. Why couldn't the daughter go up and see her mom and be with her? That's all she wanted to do. That's what this whole thing was about. This wasn't about a mask. This wasn't about us trying to get her out of the hospital. It started because the daughter was going to spend the day with her mother, to care for her, to take her to the bathroom every 20 minutes because she had a UTI, and the nursing staff is not going to do that. She was there to care for her because that's what she does. Why couldn't she go up? Why didn't the sheriff's department help get her up there to be with her mom so we could have all gone home? Everything would have been resolved at that point. But trust the police, right? So then the police put out this BS statement because they're embarrassed, because the video's gone viral of them bringing the entire Clark County Sheriff's Department down on a group of mostly moms, all unarmed, no gas masks whatsoever. So they're embarrassed and they're trying to save face. But what they're doing is they're putting us in danger because we're already so heavily demonized by the media. We're so heavily demonized. They call me like a militia member, and not that I have any problem with militia, but like, come on, somebody has to at least know how to use a gun to be a militia member, or carry a knife, or like some form of self-defense. I would be a horrible militia member. I'm not sure that I could take a life. So they're already demonizing us. And then the Clark County Sheriff's Department puts out a statement saying, which they need to retract. They need to do an investigation. They need to ask for the video footage at Legacy, seeing that the daughter, entered with her mask on twice that day and was denied entrance to see her mother, before they put out a false statement from the hospital that says she was refused because she wouldn't wear a mask, number one. So now all the liberals and all the rule followers out there that believe in masks are demonizing us when this had nothing to do with the damn mask. But no, Clark County Sheriff's Department, you didn't do your job. You'll watch this video. You watch this video because you stalk us, but you didn't do your job that day and asked to see the video footage of Satin entering the hospital twice earlier with her mask on. But you go and put out a statement to the public that she was denied entrance because she wouldn't wear a mask. The heavy police presence was because the protesters were heavily armed and had gas masks on. Okay, I'm not even sure anybody in our group owns a gas mask. So really, do you know how stupid your statement sounds? Again, not that I have a problem with gas masks. And clearly, because we got maced, we should have had gas masks on. We just weren't prepared. We weren't there to protest. We were there to stop by and support Satin, who was saying, I don't know what to do. They're telling me I can't get in to see my mom and she's being quarantined. And then the other narrative that people are putting out is, well, she checked her mom in the day before. She must have signed a consent. The agreement in writing was that her mother would not be COVID tested, and the doctor agreed and said that there was no reason to COVID test her. She wasn't there for any flu-like symptoms, but he did say that the nursing staff would wear more PPE because of it, which Satin and her mother agreed. So when she comes back the next day and is told that she can't see her mom for 24 hours, who she only left there for nighttime, right? Got her tucked into bed and left at almost 4 o'clock in the morning because she's a good daughter and she cares about her mother. I'm so frustrated right now. It's difficult to express to the public how frustrated I am by these lies. She came back to the hospital expecting to see her mom. She should have been shocked when they said we COVID tested her. I don't care what your beliefs on care what your beliefs on COVID are. If you are of an agreement with your doctor that somebody's not going to be tested for anything, and you come back and they say we've gone against your wishes and we've done that anyway, and now you can't see your loved one, America, you should be pissed. You should be scared. You should be upset. Our most vulnerable are being locked away from us right now. The elderly, nursing homes, the sick at hospitals, and the prisoners at prisons. The most vulnerable the public can't get to and advocate for. That is a dangerous precedent we are setting, America. Dangerous. These people are suffering. And America's sitting back saying, well, because of COVID, we can't go in. We can't be there. No, we already said in Clark County that will never fly with us. If one member of People's Rights calls us and says, not member, we're just a loose network, right? You text your dumb number in and you're a part of our network. If you call us and say, I'm at the hospital, they won't let me get in to see my child. No, then we'll get them transferred to another hospital. We'll get other doctors involved. Everybody wear all your PPP. I don't care if you have to wear a damn oxygen suit, whatever you have to wear to get in if somebody is sick and immune compromised and can't be out with the public, fine. But they need an advocate. I know there's this narrative of doctors and nurses, let's hail them all as heroes and law enforcement as heroes. They're people, you guys. They're people. Many law enforcement defend and protect, and many beat the crap out of their wives. Many nurses and doctors serve and protect, and many violate patients who cannot defend themselves. We see this on video footage everywhere at nursing homes. This should have concerned Satin as much as it did when she showed up and they said, you can't see your mom. This should have concerned the sheriff's department. But instead, the sheriff's department didn't respond to our calls, which if they would have been standing with us, monitoring the situation, being witnesses to what was happening. And they would have never called the freaking riot team in because they would have said there's no reason. Yeah, at a few moments they raise their voice and say, give me back my mom, let me fight, then let me withdraw my mom from care. We never blocked the ER doors. We always stood back when people were coming and going and gave them plenty of space to not feel uncomfortable. The whole night was recorded. When Satin went in with a mask on and was denied seeing her mom, to end when we pulled out of the parking lot. It was recorded. So Clark County Sheriff's Department, you need to retract your statement. There was not one gas mask. There was not any open carrying of weapons. There were no threats. There was one time where the daughter saw an open door and tried to go into the row of police to get to her mother. And many of you out there are calling for her arrest. What is wrong with you? What has happened to this country? There were no windows broken. There were no threats made to anybody's lives. There were no cars set on fire. There was no destruction of property. There was not one person infringed upon that day. They locked down the hospital because they were holding a patient from the patient's loved one. And they were in fear. You know, the wicked flee when no one pursues. They didn't have to flee and lock down the building. 6, 7 hours before, it was just the daughter there alone with a mask on. Get your facts straight, Clark County Sheriff's Department. You guys lied, and you're putting us in danger and in jeopardy when you're doing that. Tell the truth. The beautiful thing about the truth is it's so easy to tell. Tell the public that you didn't come. You waited for the situation to escalate. That all your G.I. Joe boys wanted to dress up in riot gear and knock around a bunch of women. And you wanted to play big protector for the hospital when you should have been protecting the ones who called you for help. That's what you should have been doing. I know that the money doesn't come from us the same that it comes from all the establishments out there and all the government entities and the hospitals, you know, the drug dealers. You're protecting the drug dealers, and you want me to feel safe when you pull somebody off the street because of pot and lock them up, and you were there protecting the biggest pimp drug dealers in the country at the ER? You guys better get yourselves straight and figure out what side you're on, because you're standing on the wrong side. And Legacy Salmon Creek, who told the police she wouldn't wear a mask, you should do your research. You should do your research, because lawsuits are coming. And you should retract your statement, and you should go watch your own footage that we'll be requesting in the lawsuit that will show Satin had her mask on twice when you guys told her that her mother was COVID tested. And then it was also being recorded when you turned and told her, I'm sorry, she wasn't tested. That's why she's being quarantined. That's where the confusing narrative came from, because the nurses couldn't figure out by the end of the night if she had or had not been tested. And you know what the mother said to all of you police who said she was in her right mind? She can't remember if she got tested or not. She doesn't remember much of what happened that day. Almost like the daughter knows her mother and said she needs an advocate. She has immediate short-term memory loss. That's why she needs an advocate, because she wouldn't know if somebody abused her that day in the hospital or not. She wouldn't know if somebody gave her a shot or not. And that's why she needs an advocate, because nurses make mistakes, and sometimes they don't read the charts, and sometimes they misread the charts. Who out there has had grandparents? My grandmother died of cancer, and my mom saved her life a million times during that 5 years, because they were constantly putting her on medications that counteracted with the medication she was already on for the chemo and the cancer. You need an advocate, because people are people, and a loved one is always going to know more about their loved one than the hospital is. The hospital couldn't even figure out that the mother didn't understand what was going on and needed somebody in there with her. The police would have known more had they showed up when we called them. Clark County Sheriff's Department showed up the 3 times we called them hours before, saying something is not right. We don't know what's going on. They're giving mixed stories to the daughter. They don't know if she's been tested or not. Now she's in quarantine, when the night before, when the daughter agreed to leave her here, the agreement was she would not have to quarantine. She would not have to COVID test, but the nurses would wear more PPE. If the police had come when we called them, none of that would have happened. There would have been no lockdown. There would have been no riot gear. There would have been no children being maced in the entryway. There'd be no false BS narrative that people were open carrying and had gas masks, because the officer would have been standing right there with us. But nonetheless, you know what, Clark County Sheriff's Department, you guys were watching. Your detectives were watching my live stream the whole night. And you knew long before you got there that there were no gas masks and nobody was open carrying. But you still put out that narrative. Why? Because it's the narrative the nation has grabbed a hold of. So your job now is just to isolate, demonize, and destroy, like all the media is. What you put out is as bad as the media, and it needs to be retracted. So that's all I'll say. I know that was probably way longer. It was like 20 minutes, but I'm pissed. I'm so sick and tired of false narratives, putting people's lives in danger. Just tell the truth. Legacy Salmon Creek, tell the truth about the games you guys played after shift change, and how you didn't honor the notes from the night before saying that the mother didn't need to be COVID tested. Admit that you guys incited everything that happened, and that the way we behaved was absolutely rational. It was absolutely rational. Heck, if somebody had their dog at the vet and was treated that way and was screwed with and was said, no, you can't see him now. No, we did different tests. I don't know if we did tests or not. I don't know what's going on, but you can't see him for 24 hours. If that was an animal, people would have responded and said, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to see my animal right now. This is a human being. This is a life we are talking about, a human life. We did not behave irrationally. We did not. In fact, we were really calm, and you're not going to find one threat in any of our videos. So Clark County Sheriff's Department and Legacy, retract your statements, and you'll hear more from us. God bless, guys.